Welcome to The Shield Within. The issues discussed on the Shield Within podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. They are the views of the host and the guest. Any persons discussed may be fictional for comedic purposes only. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised. Listening to The Shield Within may trigger repressed or suppressed memories or experiences. Please contact a mental health professional at your earliest convenience. It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Hello and welcome to The Shield Within. I'm your host. I'm your solo host, Marc the Cop. We don't have any Dr. David with us today. Reason why is we have him locked in a crate and shipped off to Australia. I'm just kidding. We're not. But what we do have for you today is what we call our, lack of a better term, a three-way, us, The Shield Within, the Roll Call Room podcast, and Spinning Our Gears podcast have all gotten together to talk about a subject that's pretty prevalent in law enforcement and public safety right now, which is injured officers. What kind of injuries did you have on the job? And what kind of things did you do for self-sacrifice for the job? For example, Nick got in a really bad car crash and came back to work early because he was up for some type of a promotion or special job. And if he wasn't there, he was in fear that he would lose it. So, he did a little self-sacrifice to come back early before he was completely healed. So you suffer through that. I myself have done that. I've worked injured. I'm sure you've worked injured as well. So come on, check it out and join us for this episode. In the meantime, please go to our Facebook page, Facebook.com/The Shield Within. Click that like button. Also, share our daily posts. If you're on the interwebs, and we know you are, you can go to www.shieldwithin.com. If you have a few extra shekels laying around in your pocket every month and you like to support the show, you can go to Patreon.com/The Shield Within. All right, join us as this thing is in progress.
It's been a while since we've done.
It's been a while.
All three of us. Yeah, it's been a while. Time has flown immensely. It's kind of weird. Turk and I, we message each other, and then there's a 3 group text, and Mark and I text every day. And it's always interesting because when we're messaging each other individually, we're all kind of experiencing the same thing with the exit from law enforcement. We're our toes a little bit in and a little bit out.
Yes.
The things that bothered us a year ago don't bother us now.
True.
We're removing ourselves from certain things. Like, I find myself taking stuff off of Instagram and Facebook, which I don't really use a lot anymore, which is odd because that was an everyday thing for me.
Yeah.
But I see stuff pop up on Instagram, particularly cop baiting, like cops that make bad stops, because it fires me up. And I see it with a different lens now. And I'm like, more recently, for an example, is this golfer. You guys know about the golfer that got arrested?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Idiot chief yesterday gets on the fucking press conference, throws this detective under the bus, and rolls over him. Now, mind you, don't know why the guy didn't have his body cam on. Don't know what's going on with that. I just watched the actual video from a distance of what actually happened. And again, I watched it and it got me all fired up. And I've tried to remove myself from that over the last year. And I'm wondering whether or not you guys experienced that as well.
Turk, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still in it, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of triggers me a little bit. I look at, you said you don't know why his body cam was on, but the report is that he's being dragged by a fucking car. The last thing I'm thinking about is turning my body cam on while I'm, dealing with some douchebag pulling me by a car. So, yeah. I don't know.
Do you think he got pulled by the car, though? I watched that video today, man.
Didn't he reach in?
I think he reached in, yeah. I think that was the problem. I think it was on him.
The video doesn't look good, man.
No.
And they're not dropping the charges.
But that goes back to one of the main things we talk about, how, because law enforcement's hurting so friggin' bad, the people that were pulling in, the things we're allowing to happen, tactics have all gone down the shitter. It was 8 months ago here in my state of Iowa, some dude's hopping on the hood of a fucking car, just driving away with his gun drawn. Dude's paralyzed now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The officer or the violator?
The officer.
Oh.
He hopped on top of this car, on top of the hood of the car, is driving away with his gun pointed at the person, screaming at him to stop. I don't know how fast they got. It was like 20, 30 miles an hour before he fell off, and now he's fucked up for the rest of his life.
Why do you...
Cowboy shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, why'd he jump on the car, though?
Because it was starting to pull away.
Because there's several YouTube videos.
Contempt of cop.
Well, my friends down in Blue Ash. Yeah, there's if you Google Blue Ash police pursuit, there's a guy on the hood of a car pumping rounds through the windshield. That's learned behavior. We don't teach that anywhere in stops and approaches. Don't do that shit, boys and girls, if you're listening.
How many of you have worked like parades or special detail with a detective that got drafted to do the detail?
Right.
Because that's what this was. Like, I don't know for sure, so I'm speculating. But there's no way a detective volunteered other than him going on Jamaica in a couple of months and needs the overtime.
Yeah.
Right.
A detective and a special detail or a parade is never a good thing. Never a fucking good thing. Because they're not used to dealing with the public. When you're a detective, you're dealing with victims, suspect. When you finally narrow it down, you do the interview, but you're not having that constant interaction with someone that you need to de-escalate with.
Right.
And so it looks like from this grainy video that I watched today, it doesn't look good for him. And I saw the police report, and what was written and what I can see.
Yeah.
They don't match.
No.
That was in Tennessee?
Is that the Masters?
Louisville. And well, you see in the video, he gets stopped by the first officer who directs him to go make a left. He goes to make the left, and the detective is there and fucking just parades, like fucking rips him out of the car, and it was a bad look. I think it was one of those moments where when you finally get his ID and you're like, I done fucked up.
I was just going to say, I done fucked up.
I done fucked up.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarge. Remember those, Mark?
Oh,
yes. Hey,
my
Sarge. I got one.
What's up?
I got one because we're out right outside of D.C. Where I worked. I got a phone call that, as a sergeant, you never want to get, which is, hey, Sarge, got something, might be big. And I'm like, all right, cool, what's up? And he's like, got a senator from New York, DUI.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, is he still in the car? He's like, nope, he's handcuffed in the back seat of my car. I'm like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And we arrested him. And it hit the news.
Or the senior senator?
Senior. Yeah.
See, that's when you should have been like, call the lieutenant. I went off duty like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, no. Listen, this was Nick. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Watch, Commander. Hey. I did the Heisman. I was like,
guess who we just snatched up?
Yeah.
Well, but you got to do your job. I mean, it isn't who you are, it's what you did. What I didn't like from what I saw of that incident, it just seemed to me like there's a stack of fucking charges here for something that didn't seem warranted. But I'm not turning liberal on everyone. I'm just as conservative as I can be. But man, that just looks stacked up.
Yeah,
looks like we were creating the crime, to justify the actions. That's just how it appeared to me from the outside.
Would you say it was trumped up?
But see, I wish my sound effects worked. I could do the drum here, but on my side of the live track 8, I can't do that. So. Yeah.
No, it was definitely. There? Oh shit! This hit the news. This hit the media. We need to figure out. Yeah.
Those of you that don't have video, you didn't get to see the hand gestures.
Right.
Well, I was expecting.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. paid that whore. Perfect. What do we think, man? That closing arguments the next week, man. That's going to be interesting. I don't get political, but
no boy, I do anymore. But yeah,
nah, he's going to get convicted, man. Come on, it's New York.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, him just showing up. Then what are they going to do?
I like how this threesome just took a sharp turn to politics.
Yeah.
Let's
within
turn it
10 minutes.
Who's running this show?
I don't know.
I'm looking over at Turk, man.
Much like any other threesome, I don't know that we. No one really runs
there's
it,
no
right?
rules up front, right?
You're just grabbing whatever comes in front of your face, and yeah.
I mean, from my last
How
one,
do you rotate?
we like tagged in. I was like, all right, now you do him. And then he was like, oh, now you do him. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like WWE when he stood in the corner and held the ropes up. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we played tummy sticks.
Okay.
You know.
Well, let's overcorrect here and get back on topic. The last time we got together, Nick and Mark, we
did
very briefly we did a lot of blow. There was a lot of blowing. That's not true. If the FBI is listening,
We're kidding.
Oh, they are.
Partial comedy act.
The IACP is listening.
Oh, yeah.
Blue No Help is listening. Everybody's listening.
Well, spell my name right. Anyway.
There's a book out there, for Christ's sake. Just look at
That's
it. It's in
right.
the background. Just zoom in.
I see that. I was going to address that soon. Don't worry.
So where's it at? Here. It's right over my shoulder.
Yes.
During the last episode, though, it was just a very brief comment how we talked about, when you're younger in the profession and you get injured and you're afraid to mention it, you're afraid to bring it up. And I know that we've all got stories, so I thought, fuck it, let's get together and tell our stories of getting hurt on the job.
Man.
Nick, I know that you've got a big one with a cruiser. I've heard it before, but I think we'll start off with you. And
I thought you meant with that massive mug he just got done chugging up.
well, there's that too. There's that too. He's got several brain injuries, but I'm talking about the one in the car.
Right.
I do. I mean, my major one was just before I got promoted to sergeant. Middle of the day, I was going lights and siren. It was a violent domestic involving a weapon. Old town, Alexandria, which is very, very congested. Every time I used to run code, I never flew through intersections. I wasn't one of those guys. So, figure a very busy street. I would stop at every corner, look both ways, make sure I made eye contact, and then proceed. So it's kind of like fast stop, kind of like how I, do things. And I come to this intersection. Yeah, I come to this intersection. I got the red light, so I know I got to be extra cautious. Make eye contact on the left, make eye contact on the right, and see an ambulance who stops for me. I go to proceed through. The next thing I know, I wake up and I'm getting cut out of the car.
Oh, my goodness.
And what had happened was I had cleared almost through the intersection, and a lady went around the ambulance and she tapped the passenger side, which spun the car around and wrapped around a telephone pole. And the reason why I went out was I had a Dodge Charger at the time, brand spanking new. And I hit my head on the shotgun and I was out. And I remember Mike, my first co-host for the roll call room, was there when they were cutting me out. And I remember getting loaded on the gurney and I couldn't feel my legs, which scared the shit out of scared me. I was like, I can't feel my legs. And they were like, oh, you're fine. And I could hear them talking to each other behind me. Well, I could hear them behind me being like, he's not reacting to whatever they call it, like when they poke your feet and stuff. And I could hear you. Like, I could fucking hear you. And then we're rushing to the hospital, and then we get in there, and it was like the show ER. I've never been involved in that. Like, I've never been rolled into an ER, like a trauma center. And it's a 50 million fucking people asking you questions. Can you feel this? How does this feel? And then they turn me over to the side, and next thing I know, I have a finger in me because they were checking for internal bleeding because my stomach apparently was ascended.
Oh, wow.
And then, they did all these tests and everything, and then they wheeled me into a room, and they're like, you're going to be fine. And I was like, I can't feel my legs. Right. And they were like, yeah, you slipped 4, 5, and 6 of your vertebrae. You might need surgery eventually. That's pushing down on your nerves, which makes your feet, you can't feel your legs. And I will tell you, out of all of that, there was a deputy chief who was forced out, which sounds very familiar to us. It was a female deputy chief. She was my lieutenant, then she got promoted to captain, and then from captain, deputy chief. She stayed with me the whole entire time. She stayed with me and my wife. When they released me, she dressed me. Like, she legit, like, put my clothes on me. And I remember I had loved her before that, but that solidified, like, true leadership.
Yeah.
Chief came and did his, 5-minute.
How's it going, brother?
Hey, Sal, how are you? And you're like,
Sal?
Sal? Yeah. The fuck is Sal? And you're like, you doing good, Jeffrey? And you're like, you just said Sal 5 seconds. Like, do you need a name tag or something? Like, it's just no fucking connection whatsoever, But that was my big one. I mean, there were other major ones. I've retired, we talked about it on the roll call room. I've retired a lot of cruisers.
Yeah.
So that was my major one. Aside from zipping up my pee-pee one time on duty.
Beans above the Franks?
Yeah, and then you have to work the whole day like that. It was weird.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned how, and my story is kind of the same way, but you talked about, like, the doctors. You can fucking hear them talking.
Yeah.
For all of the accolades that doctors and nurses get, and don't get me wrong, I love you guys. But for all the accolades they get, they are the worst human service people I think I know, especially when it comes to communication. They don't tell you shit while you're sitting there panicking.
Yeah, no, they didn't communicate, like, at all. Like, they weren't like, Nick, you're gonna be all right, don't worry. They were strictly business.
Yes.
Like, they were like, I could hear them talking like, his stomach is ascended, we're not getting, like, there was some medical jargon that I had heard before by bringing victims in from car accidents, and it was making me even more nervous because I could hear them.
Yeah.
And you can't see. They got this collar on you. You're looking straight up. All you see is this bright white light, and occasionally a face peeks over. A couple of them had bad breath, so it was like, and then it was like, ooh,
nurse
feels good.
Step off, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and then it was like, ooh, that feels good. 2 more, please.
So why am I erect down here?
Yeah, I was like, whoa. They rip everything off too, man. That was embarrassing too. Like, they cut all your shit off. Like, all your shit off. Like, there's
they took your clothes off, not cut your shit off.
No,
a little bit of both. If you ask them to, they'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. I was like, I need a sponge bath.
Now, you talked about how that was right before your promotion. I think previously you've told us that you came back too soon, right?
I did. So I'm not a big medication person. I didn't really, and that was kind of why mental health really wasn't a focus of mine, because I was one of those folks that refused to take medication. I wrote that in the first book. I was probably the most anti-medication, but they gave me Oxy. And it was my first time ever having that. And I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I had taken about a week off, and then National Night Out was coming up, and I was trying to get promoted. And I was in the community policing unit, and National Night Out for community policing is the Christmas.
The All-Stars, right?
Yeah, it is.
You and I are going to talk after this episode about that, but continue.
Yeah. I mean, I would go all out, man. I would plan the craziest stuff in the neighborhood that I had, and it was very well liked. Politicians would come from the city and come to that neighborhood because historically, we tried to top it every year.
Yeah.
And I remember the day before National Night Out, I went to urgent care because my doctor wouldn't sign off on me returning. I went to urgent care and paid $50 and got the doctor to fill out the what is that called? The
release.
The release, yeah, but they used to call it something, but a release.
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty, that's it. I brought the fit for duty paperwork, and he was like, "You feel fine?" And I sucked in my pain, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. But I cut the Oxy off the night before, which, if you know anything about that like Oxy in general. So my partner at the time, we were getting ready for National Night Out. We had bicycled from the police headquarters all the way to the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
And I made it probably 3/4 of the way, and I had to stop and pulled over, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I go, I don't feel good. I was like, I think you might have to call an ambulance. And he was like, are you for real? I go, just give me a second. And I'm throwing up. Like, I had Gatorade. It was all coming up, all my food. I was shaking. I was sweating. And it was withdrawal. And it was just, and I put that aside. I got back on the bike and I continued, and I went through National Night Out. And then I actually asked for him to bike back to headquarters himself and go get a cruiser and bring it back to pick me up, because there was no way I was going to make it. And then I tried to ask for the next day off, and they fucking, my sergeant hammered me. Was like, you were off for a whole week. Now you're going to take more time off, and you're.
You had a major crisis. You're off for a whole week.
Yeah.
Aren't you better yet?
Yeah, but they got you by the balls, because if you say, hey, listen, I'm still having effects from the car accident, they're going to put you out. Not only are they going to put you out, but now they're not going to let you go see your doctor. Now they're going to put you through workers' comp, make you go through the city's doctor, which is almost impossible to get cleared to come back to work.
And everyone knows workman's comp. If you're not retired yet, they will retire you out.
Fucking terrible.
And you're going to have a note on your file that says you might be trying to fuck the system. He came back, now he's going off again. Keep an eye on this one.
Yep.
Do you think that, was your reasoning for coming back too soon because you were vested in National Night Out, or was it because you were afraid of what they were going to say, what they were going to do to you, what they were going to take from you? Which
I
one?
think both. I think both. More. When I say I was 150% into the job and into the community that I served, and it kind of sounds corny, but I really love the community that I served, the community that I was responsible for as a community police officer. I knew everybody in that community. They knew me. I knew birthdays. I knew everything about everybody in that neighborhood. And I had fun going to work every day. It was the best job in the world. And I didn't want that those people down. Like, I had committed I'd be there to set up the bounce house. I would be there to set up the barbecue. I would be there to set up this. And I felt like if I didn't do that, the representation was that it wasn't me that let them down. It was the Alexandria City Police Department. And I had their best interest in mind. Like, I didn't want to let them down, and I also didn't want to make my department look like shit.
Yeah.
And that's double-edged sword, because when you fast forward to the end of my career, that love was not reciprocated at all. And it puts into question, because now my back is so fucked up now. Like, I'm 45 years old. I have the back of probably an 80-year-old. There are times where I'll pull my back out and I'm in bed for 3-4 days in tracks. Like, I can't move. If I kneel down, like if I'm on the floor, like playing with my pets or something, if I get up wrong, I'm fucked.
Oh, yeah.
And the only corrective way of fixing that now is surgery. And the surgery is like 50-50 at this point. Like, they can go in and they could go fix it, and they can make it worse. And that was a large part of my weight loss too, was because it got to the point where it was like, here's your options. You need to lose 30 to 40 pounds, or we're going to have surgery. Oh, and by the way, if we do surgery, there's a good possibility that we're going to make it worse. And I don't want to do surgery. I don't like medication. I don't want to be in pain meds or anything like that. But it was both. It was both also because I didn't want to be out any longer, because my department had a history of shoving you in records or DEC, Department of Emergency Communications. And they were short 911 operators, and they were bringing officers up there that were like sick or injured or something like that, and they were getting you certified, and then you were pigeonholed. You were reassigned to the Department of Emergency Communication.
Oh, wow, really?
Because they didn't have operators. They didn't have, DEC operators. And I didn't want to be that person. Like, I didn't want to do that. I'm a road dog, but it taught me a valuable lesson. I was injured multiple times after that. But that was the major one. That one was the life-altering one.
I'm going to send you a link here in a minute. You have got to try DDPY. It's Diamond Dallas Page Yoga, the former wrestler.
Okay.
That shit will change your life.
Really?
It will change your life. And I don't get paid a dime for that, obviously.
Somebody on a work trip that I was at the other day, actually my boss's boss was talking about doing yoga for his back.
Yeah.
And he was like, it changed my life. Like, he's like, I do it every morning. And I was like, and a light bulb went off, and, you know, Alzheimer's. I completely forgot about it. This was 2 days ago.
Right.
And he was talking about yoga. And I was like, you know, I did yoga when I did P90X, and it was, you know, no bullshit. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
So this guy, former professional wrestler, broke his back twice, was basically told he wouldn't, you know, work out or walk again, and yoga is what saved him. So, yeah, I'll send you that link in a little bit. But
Yeah, please do.
Mark, with that salt and pepper hair over there, that beautiful face,
It's beautiful.
wise beyond your years, experienced beyond your years, you have got to have some stories over there for injuries.
Well, I have the only major injury I have is my fucking brain. To be honest with you, you know, I've gotten hurt, but the job related stuff, it wasn't anything as dynamic as what Nick has. Right now, I currently suffer from a double hip impingement. I have not got the hips replaced purposely. They only last 10 years. I'm 57 years old. I don't want to be going through this shit again at 67.
Yeah.
They need replaced. I mean, my left knee is fucking garbage. I got ran over by a academy student, and
Jeez.
yeah, it needs replaced. So, you know, what we do is we live, and like today, we have what's called a kind of a walk and talk. What we do is we teach apexing. So we have the students actually go out and walk the track. So Wednesday, when we're doing the walk and talk version of that, so we actually show them the track, I stepped off the edge of the pavement and rolled my fucking ankle. So I am hurting. I did a 8-hour lecture today at the community college at the Basic Police Academy. So right now, that left ankle is swollen up, which is also the bad knee. That's because I'm going to sound like the old guy. Oh, everything hurts, you know. So what is your level of pain? So through taking, and a lot of my injuries are due to training injuries. So I'm a pursuit termination techniques instructor. So L3 and thoracic 5 and 6 have been broken because of bad pits. So a lot of my decrepitness is from training. But, you know, you're used to living with a certain level of pain. And like my physical therapist said, Mark, you've been in pain so long, you don't know what it feels like to feel good. You
100%.
have a high level of pain tolerance. So when I'm hurting, I'm fucking hurting. You know,
That's so true, Mark.
Yeah.
That we as a profession work in so much pain.
Yes.
That we don't even realize we're in pain. And it's so funny that you say that, because when I left law enforcement, I broke my foot.
Oh, goodness.
And I just kept walking around on it, and I went and got an x-ray done, and the doctor was like, how long does this hurt? And I was like, I don't know, 7 months. And he's like,
why did you come in sooner?
He's like, it's, you know where your toes are? It's that part right here.
Yeah.
And it cracked right here.
Ouch.
And he was like, that's been broke for a really, I could see where it tried to heal, and then you broke it again.
Right.
And he's like, we got to put you like in a boot. And he was like, you sure that this just, like, it didn't just happen? Because you'd be in a lot of pain. And I'm like, yeah, I was in a lot of pain. It's so funny you say that.
Eating a leave and Tylenol to make the day go by.
Yeah.
Fucking caffeine,
Icy hot and fucking like suck it up, ace bandage. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So-
Go ahead, Turk.
Well, no, I was just going to say, to go along with that, like, think about when you retired and you no longer had to wear the gun belt. How long? And you said you need double hips anyway, but how long did it take before your hips and your back felt normal not wearing that fucking gun belt in a cruiser?
Did you guys have outer carries?
We did. Yeah.
That's another thing, man.
Like, we really, when I went to an outer carrier, I started feeling a lot better, especially with the broken L3. Because there's, you know, I took a lumbar pillow to work in order, because the lumbar wasn't enough support in my cruiser. I had a Ford Interceptor utility, you know, and it had great lumbar support, but it just wasn't enough for me. But, you know, living and working in pain, it's like, why do we do that? I think this is the only profession in which people put themselves through that because of the love of the job.
Yeah.
And like I was sharing with my academy cadets today, I said, you know, I was a cop for 30 years, 28 of it, the best absolute experience of my life. The last 2 years, absolutely the worst experience of my life. But yet I went in there every day and I still did my job with pride and integrity. and in pain.
Yeah.
You know, so then, you know, you have the mental anguish side of it. And since we're all about that mental health, you know, how many of us have that brain injury? And it's just sad to me that if you take off time to recuperate yourself, and if you take off time with a gunshot wound, hey, you're a hero, you're back. Hey, how you feeling? But if you're taking off because you're ready to canoe your forehead, not so much when you come in. They all look at you and like, hey, man. You know, because they're all like afraid, what are you going to say to them? You know, because you're weird now. It's like, no, you're not weird. I'm the same dude. You know, I just wanted to canoe my forehead. You know, thanks. But
well, and again, it's we're here for you until you create a burden on staffing, and then now we're not there for you anymore.
That's right. Absolutely.
So true. Which is, but you know, there are people that have ruined it for good officers.
Absolutely.
Because there are the ones that are shitbags to begin with.
Yes.
And then they stub their toe, or they get smacked by a suspect and they're gone for 3 fucking months. And you're like, I'm friends with you on Instagram. I could see you surfing or whatever, like whatever the fuck you're doing. Like,
Exactly.
it's dumb shit like that. And I think the other thing is there's a couple of factors that make us come back sooner. The love of the job, the fear of the job, the fear of the repercussions of what's going to happen. Ego and pride is another one, which
Those
is
are biggies,
I don't want to seem weak. I don't want people to perceive me as scamming the system.
Right.
Even when like a major back injury or ankle, like getting hit by a student or something, like those kind of things are like, anybody that's going to question you taking some time off from those kind of injuries, they're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But at the time when you're going through it, these are people that you think you respect.
Right.
These are people that you want their approval. These are people that you're like, you know, it's like you're trying to get dad's love, you know, like, and then when you leave it, you're like, that guy was such a piece of shit. Why was I so entrenched on his approval? Like,
it's the hive
but
mentality.
you have to be removed from it.
It's the hive mentality. You
It
are.
totally is,
It's
man.
the cult you always talk about.
Oh, it's totally a cult, man. It's the fucking Hunger Games on steroids. It fucking is, man. I mean, may the odds forever be in your favor. That's what law enforcement has turned into is the Hunger Games. You're hot when you're hot, and you're not when you're not. And when you make a big arrest, that's going to last you
20 minutes,
2 shifts.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're lucky. And then it's
I
like,
was going to say 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
Dirk said 20. You said 2 shifts. So hey,
I think it's right after roll call. Everybody's like, all right,
Yeah.
you got your kudos.
Right.
Now what? Like, it's like, oh, that was so yesterday. Like, now what are you going to do? And
How about the pressure from, you know, supervisors? Do you really want to report that? Like,
Yeah.
do you want us to do the paperwork about it? So, like, I had one where I was on the team, I was on the SWAT team, and we weren't even like, I think we were just walking down to pick up targets, but I hit a piece of uneven ground and something popped in my knee, and it hurt fucking bad. And I got I get that all the time. It'll be better. Do you really want to do you really want to go sit in the ER for 2 hours and wait to have it checked out?
Yeah, I do.
And be that guy. And then the next day I couldn't put any fucking weight on my knee. Like I had to grab that heavy duty ace bandage and fucking knee brace and brace it to the point where I could put some weight on my knee and make it through the shift. Like,
And isn't
it's
that
such bullshit.
stupid? You can't go buy a knee brace without being seen by a doctor.
Yeah.
Now, I think things have changed it, but after I got ran over by the student, I tore my meniscus. I mean, I physically couldn't fucking walk. So
Yeah.
I had like 3 ace bandages. And I had to go to Target and buy a bunch of ace bandages. And, you know, I think I took like a stick and put to the outside because the knee wouldn't stay. You know, and they're like, well, you're going to have to go see a specialist. When's that going to happen? 3 weeks. Are you out of your fucking mind? I can't get along by like this.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hobbled around at work for 3 weeks until I could get in and see the specialist. I still didn't get a fucking knee brace. Well, you look like you're healing up pretty good now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, just that
Crazy.
fucker going, do you really want... And it was because he didn't want to look bad and report to his boss that there was an injury during his training.
Coward.
But like, motherfucker, let's just get it addressed, you know?
Training was the worst with that stuff because as a sergeant, I never discouraged my folks. As a matter of fact, I encouraged my folks to report it. Yeah, it took me 3-4 hours to do the paperwork, but I would explain to them this way. Listen, I would much rather put the paperwork in, and 4 months from now, when you say your back hurts, the city has to fucking cover you because we have it reported. 4 months from now, if you don't report this and you say, oh, I hurt my back on a scene fighting some suspect 4 months ago, you know what they're going to tell you? Go fucking
yourself.
pound sand, because if you didn't report it, it never happened.
Right.
And in Virginia, there's a statute of limitations of what they'll cover to begin with, which is 2 years.
Right.
So
And that's pretty standard across the board. See, we should have had Mayor Joe in here because he's a workman's comp attorney. So
oh, that would have been good. Yeah.
We can always do
Would've
it
been
again.
like, why do they
We can
always
have
fuck
the
us?
3 times 4-way or something like that. But
Ooh, a 4-way? Like confusing.
I don't know if I have the lube for a 4-way.
Oh, I do. I do.
Do you? Okay.
yeah, what was that new brand
Astroglide.
we put on the last
Warming?
episode?
Warming. Oh, okay. Yeah.
What I will tell you, though, that
Ouch,
is...
ouch, you're on my hair or something like that.
Ouch, ouch, you're on the chief lube. Ouch, ouch, you're on my hair. And for the real Rambo people, my knuckles are white. I'm ready. But I'll tell you, other than lube, what you should really do is take care of your balls.
You should.
You
Manscaped.com.
should go to manscaped.com, use promo code Roll Call Room, and get 20% off your purchase.
Manscaped.com.
Manscaped.com. All right, so who's next?
I'll go with one.
Tee it up.
I talked about the mini one, but the one that took me out that I didn't have any choice on, I had to take time off work, was the training bite that I took from a canine.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Yes.
basically, I was put inside of a cage where the dog couldn't see me, and the whole idea was the dog was supposed to find me and alert,
Right.
but wasn't supposed to get to me. And I'm just hanging out on my phone. First dog goes through, and luckily that dog didn't get through. That dog would have killed me. He was 80 pounds of man-eating, fucking destroy everything, right?
Wow.
God's grace, he did not get through. Second dog did get through, and I just heard, Turk, she's coming. And that dog, at about 30 miles an hour, hit the back of my leg and just started thrashing. And then I hear the handler go, where are you? Come fucking find me. Come to the screaming. That's where I'm at. Like, I had to take the dog off strong with their collar and hold him there while the handler got there. And they, one of the other guys had a tac med kit, and he looked at it and he goes, yeah, you're probably gonna need some stitches, but I don't think it's that bad. And so he wrapped me up. Well, come to find out, what happened was it had just swollen so bad that it didn't look that big. And he bandages me up. I get one of my canine partners to take me to the hospital. And the first thing the nurse says, it's a male nurse, and he goes, what do we got here? What's this called? He didn't know what the wrap was on my leg. He didn't know that it was an Israeli bandage. And I'm thinking, can I get a new nurse? Because I don't want somebody to touch me that doesn't know.
Oh, my God.
But what happened from there
They have
was...
this at the community college. I don't recognize
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't
Exactly.
see this on Strayer University.
I'm an SDNA.
But from there was about 2 hours of me on my stomach with different doctors coming in, poking and prodding me, doing the same thing they did to you, Nick, where it was like not telling me shit. And we're gonna get another doctor. We're gonna get. Can you feel this? Can you feel that? And that's what made me like when they're asking me if I can wiggle my toes. I'm like, oh shit.
We got tendon damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought in an orthopedic surgeon, and he started finger fucking me for a while. By now, my wife had gotten there, and she said he was like this far in, knuckles deep, into the back of my leg. Yeah.
Shit.
So when I say finger fucking me, he was literally...
What was he feeling around for? Fucking like
He was trying to see tendon damage, how deep it was. It hit muscle, but it didn't do any damage.
Did you feel
luckily.
that? Did you feel it?
At that
Or were
point,
you just completely...
it all hurt. And I think by the time he started putting his fingers in me, they'd given me morphine.
Oh, I'm so fucking cutting this up and using it as a drop.
Ironically, the morphine, it made me feel weird, but it didn't really take a lot of the pain off, you know? It was just kind of weird. But
What?
I felt like when they gave it to me, I felt it hit from my head down to my toes, like that warm blanket feeling they tell you, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Might have calmed me down a little bit, but everything still hurt pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he gets in there and he basically tells me he's trying to decide whether or not they're going to knock me out and go in that way, or if they're just going to do it all on the ER table. Or the bed. Yeah. And that's the route they ended up going. They
awake?
Yeah. They poked around the hole with a bunch of Novocaine, and he brought in this machine that was supposed to spray in water as he's fucking scraping and cleaning. Because what some of you might not know is that with a dog bite, they're more concerned about the bacteria that gets into your system than the actual bite. So he's got this machine that it's supposed to be squirting water in and then sucking stuff out. Well, he's like, this isn't working, so he just cuts it. So now he's got a jagged piece of shit in my leg that he's scraping away at, muscle and fat, and And my wife said she could literally see fat coming up through the tube, and like,
dude, where were you? Where were you getting this done at Pep Boys?
Yeah, right. Well, what made it worse was this fucking orthopedic surgeon worked for the both hospitals, and he was just on call. So I had to wait for him to get done at the other hospital and drive over to where I was at before he could do anything.
What the fuck?
So he does that whole cleaning out process. Basically the back of my knee got raped is what happened. And then he stitched it up.
More.
Yeah, it was not as sexy as it sounds, I'll tell you that much.
In my head it is.
Just blood everywhere.
Oh, jeez.
So he finally gets me stitched up, and they got me pretty dope. He prescribed me some medication, and I remember being worried because I told him, like, for those who know me, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never done drugs. I'm a huge lightweight, right? Mm-hmm. Over-the-counter allergy meds just knock me out. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that because I don't normally take drugs. And he goes, no, you're going to want to go pick these up, and you're going to want to take some tonight and just go to bed. So I slept for like 12, 16 hours after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you out?
Oh, that's a good... It was several months.
Holy shit. You were legit out.
Yeah. So the injury itself, the actual bite had to heal. We had to work through the scar tissue back there. And then the impact from the dog and thrashing messed up the front of my knee also. Oh, so I had a ton of PT that I had to do to fix the front of my knee.
Damn, I was surprised that they didn't try and fucking medic you out, like medically.
We were so fucking hurt for bodies, they weren't going to do that.
No.
They want it. They had me dictating interviews.
Did you get, like, through workers' comp, did you get, like, disfigurement or anything like that?
No, but I will say that compared to other stories that I've heard, I was taken care of pretty well with workman's comp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the city HR person called my wife while I was still knocked out and doped up and was like, well, so is he going to be to work tomorrow? Like, are we going to have him on light duty? And my wife goes, is this your personal cell phone? And the HR person goes, yeah. And she goes, I'm going to send you a few pictures. And she sent this HR person pictures of the doctor with his fingers in my knee.
Good.
So, yeah, after they saw the gruesome pictures, they took care of me.
Good for your wife.
Yeah.
Wives are awesome, man.
They are
especially
great.
During injuries. My wife was in the ER when I was arresting some guy for DUI. And I got one handcuff on him, and he got the turn on me and punched me right in the fucking eye and broke my orbital bone.
Oh no.
Yeah. And my wife, another 3:00 in the morning, fucking trip to the ER. And the guy, so they took me to the ER and they took him to the ER because obviously breaking my orbital bone,
You broke his, right? Or both of his?
There were some injuries. Well, it's over the statute of limitations,
right.
But he was
far to the hospital. We send 2 years to the morgue.
Yeah, he was in far worse shape. Let's put it that way. But they put him in the room across, like the ER just has the curtains.
Christ.
Yeah.
They put him right across from me. And so my wife comes in and the chief is already there, like next to me. And he's like,
Where's the charge nurse at? This fucking one of you need to move.
My wife's like so loud. She's like, "Where is that piece of shit?"
I gotta shoot him in the dick.
My chief is like, "He's right across there." And she goes, "Why the fuck are you not making him move?" And then she just fucking laced into him.
Yeah, she should. Some dumbass is like, "Oh, well, that's the next room."
Yeah. It was fucking. It was awesome, man.
See, my wife was pissed off for an opposite reason, because I'd called initially and I was like, "Hey, I got to go to the doctor to get some stitches. I'm going to be late." And that's all I said, because at the time we thought that's all it was.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I'm in the ER and they're talking about knocking me out. So I call her again and I go, "Hey, can you have someone watch the kids and come over here?" Now she's freaking out, thinking something, She was not very happy.
Well, I think they're mostly concerned and scared, because what do we do as officers? We minimize our own injuries, because we are always the last person we serve, correct?
Yeah.
You take a bite in training, you're like, well, I'm going to take it for the team. But, we're always last to put our own self and welfare.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're not stupid either, man. No. They're not stupid. Like, they know if you're in the ER, it's not just like a Band-Aid and you're on your way, or else you wouldn't be there.
Right.
And yeah, we minimize it. I think they get angry because they see what we don't see. Like what we talked about at the beginning of this, which is that, we're doing it for all of these reasons. Our wives are like, "Listen, what the fuck is wrong with you?" Like,
well, and I think that's the majority of people who are not cops are asking, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But you don't know it unless you're in it. It's kind of like the military, man. You don't know what it's like until you're in it. Like, when you get injured, people are just like, "Fucking lay down," and you're like, you don't know what it's like. Right. I make a joke that it's the Hunger Games, but it legit is. Like you fucking take some time off, you may come back and your locker is not there.
Yeah.
Or your fucking cruiser that you absolutely love has now been reassigned because you've been gone for fucking 5 shifts.
Right.
And it's stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, like, in a smaller department, like getting a nice cruiser or a semi-decent cruiser that doesn't sound like a John Deere, when you're fucking going code, that's a big fucking deal. When you come into work and you're like, your cruiser's missing, or somebody signed it out and they're on a detail using your fucking cruiser, and you're like, it sets your whole mood like completely different.
Right.
Yep.
And people don't know unless you've been in it, man. Like, I make the joke. I think Mark, you and I have talked about this. I had such a nice cruiser that when I left, because we weren't allowed to take our cruisers home, I would take the fucking fuse out for the ignition.
That's a smart move.
Mm-hmm. I would take the fuse out of the ignition and put it in my wallet.
Right.
And then so when you would go to start the car, it just would click. And then that's how I knew no one was going to take my fucking cruiser. And that's how it had to be, because you would come back. These motherfuckers, cops are the biggest pigs. They eat fucking like, chili salsa or fucking 7-Eleven big bites,
and
fucking
all over the fucking car.
Chili all over the fucking console, and
fucking banana peel under the seat.
Yeah, they're fucking nasty fucking pigs.
Yeah.
Or they get a suspect that they arrest that fucking pisses back there, or fucking
and they
like
leave
spits.
it.
Oh, dude, I would put rubber, like, before I would go, like, I would drive to work, get my cruiser, drive it down to the main area, put rubber gloves on in my plain clothes, and spend 45 minutes to an hour just cleaning and sterilizing my car for my shift.
Yep.
Because people are pigs.
Yeah.
Like, you see the steering wheel is covered in fucking mayonnaise or some shit. Like, it's just nasty mayonnaise shit. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And for that, I never used gloves. I did this.
I can't unsee that now. Why did you make eye contact with me when you did that?
I'll always do that.
Because he wanted you to finish first.
That's right. I am considerate. I'm like 3, 2, 1, go.
So
let's take Riverside. Then it's 5, 4, go.
Hey. Thanks, Spotify.
Yeah. So,
sorry, what were you going to say, Mark?
Well, I wanted to change gears here a little bit. Has anyone seen Heroes Behind the Badge number 2, Sacrifice and Courage, I think it's called? In that series, the first one, Heroes Behind the Badge 1, is a very good story. It was done by Modern City Entertainment. Bill Erfurth, hello if you're listening, did a really good job. And I always bring those two videos out. They were on Netflix, but Heroes Behind the Badge 1, Heroes Behind the Badge 2. In 2, there's a great guy. I'm proud to call him my friend. His name's Jimmy Kuzak. From Pennsylvania, and they went to a domestic one night, and he stepped up on a porch and was shot through the door. Oof. And in the video, he talks about, how did I know those were the last 3 steps I was ever going to take as a man? And it paralyzed him, but it didn't ruin him.
Jeez.
Okay. He's now a competition shooter. He's on Team Glock, and he travels around the United States shooting. We recently ran across him down in, I think it's Plant City. My son-in-law is also a competition shooter. There was a big shoot down there, and he was there. Great guy. So we're talking about injuries, So we like to compare a lot of line of duty death stuff, and absolutely that's going to get the honors. But what about the guys that are permanently disfigured or permanently retired?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of where I thought we were going to go with this episode, was not only our own injuries that we live with and deal with, but what about the others that are permanently injured?
Yep.
And how to move forward with theirs. So maybe a second part of this, maybe we can get Jimmy on the line, because I've already told him or asked him to be on one of our shows, and he's enthusiastically agreed. So I'd like to take this up and have him on, and maybe some others that are out there that are listening. So get a hold of us. You can reach me at Mark with a C at rollcallroom.com or Nick at rollcallroom.com. Turk, what do you got there for us?
We are spinningourgears.com. Click the contact us link. I can't remember exactly what the website or what the email is called. So hit us there.
Right.
Yeah.
Big PP in ASS
no
at spinningourgears.com. I got it right here. I'm reading it off the website.
Little PP.
That's right. Sorry. My contacts, they're new.
But anyway, I think it would be good for officers out there that are listening, especially to all 3 shows. This is stuff that can happen to you. And like in my lecture today, I did the driving lecture, which is an AR lecture. I always started off with a PowerPoint presentation of crash cruisers. These are all officers that went to work that day thinking, hey, I'm just going to go do in my 8 or 12 and I'm going home. Next thing I know, I'm leading story on the news that next morning. And there's nothing more, I think, invokes more anxiety than, we always, whenever I had a major incident and I wasn't going to be home, my wife said I have to wake up in the morning, turn the news on, see what my husband got into overnight. Because, generally he's home by 6:20 and in bed by 6:30. It's now 7:15 and he's not here and I haven't heard from him. So she pops on the local news and, what's happening here in Tip City tonight.
Did you ever think about that when you were doing the job, though? Did you ever think about your spouse doing that?
No, I didn't. Until she
neither.
told me about it. She said, that scares the hell out of me. And going to Washington, D.C., you've been to Police Week. I've been to Police Week. And she told me if you ever died in the line, I couldn't come down to the district because it would just bring those memories back of us having fun here and doing the stuff, the cop stuff here in D.C. So she said it'd be very difficult for me to come back down and be a member of the club no one wants to be a member of, which is, Concerns of Police Survivors, which is a great organization. I wanted to reach back and bring up, you talked about yoga, the Chip Terry Fund. If you're looking out there for a good charity to support, they actually help out with first responders stress. And it's one thing Joe Terry, hello, if you're listening, recommends yoga. And that's what she was providing, yoga to fire departments so they could work through their stress. And nothing but good things come from that. Is how are we going to work our bodies and work our minds to have that recovery, even while you're on the job and after the job.
Yeah, very much so. Well, and you talked about your wife and what she was watching the news, and Nick, you'd mentioned how you don't think about that. Part of my job over the past 2 months, I was doing business contact updates, just going in and saying, hey, who's someone we get a hold of in the middle of the night, if there's an issue. Talk to this front desk lady, and she gives me her name, and I go, oh, are you related to so-and-so? And she goes, yeah, I'm having a panic attack right now. I thought you were coming to tell me that he died. An officer in the next agency. Fucking, it's something we don't think about, but some of the stuff they're going through. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to work around that. They're living with that every single day. Like, they see a cruiser go by and they panic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff that you don't think about.
Well, or you know, if you do have an incident, turn your radio off. If you go pick up the wife to take her to the hospital, turn your radio off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Just tell somebody, if you need me, text me. The radio's off. They listen to the radio. They know the jargon. They're going to hear these guys on the off channel. You know, you don't want to keep them in the dark, but you want to do your civil service with them and show them the dignity and respect. And sometimes ignorance can be bliss.
So here's the question for both of you, and you might have different answers. If you have to go notify a wife or a spouse, I guess, of either a death or an injury, do you think it's better to call first or to show up first?
No, I've had to do it before. You definitely don't want to call.
No.
Yeah.
You definitely want to be there in person.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to do it on the front steps.
Nope.
Like, you want to turn around and be like, hey, can I come inside? You know, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a death notification, which is don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Because
knife cuts the quickest.
they know. I mean, they fucking know. Like, I've done it twice, and both times the wives were like, where is he?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not fun to do. But I think, I mean, Mark, you feel the same way? Definitely
absolutely.
Not call or text.
Never. Death
I will say that there's
injury notifications always in person.
I will say that there's some chief of polices out there that I would love to just do it via text. Like, be like,
I guess my point behind that, though, is like you said, they know what that squad car showing up means. And I'm thinking, if Nick gets hurt on the job but he's not dead, is there the whole, hey, Mrs. Ruggiero, it's so-and-so, everyone's okay, I'm just letting you know that I'm coming over? Or is that even not, you think that's not the right way to go?
No, because they're going to have a million questions.
They're going to start spinning.
Yeah.
Start spinning.
Both times my wife has been, well, not both. I mean, I've probably been injured, brought to the hospital at least 4 or 5 times, and all 4 or 5 times they called her, and that set her off like you wouldn't believe.
Gotcha.
Like, she was like, I got a phone call. It was very short. It was almost like a checkbox. It was like, hey, listen, you know, your husband has been involved in an accident. He's at, you know, Alexandria Hospital, room 12. You know, here's my number. When you get there, just give me a call and we'll get you in. And it was like really impersonal. And, you know, she watched all the cop shows. Like, she's seen the cop shows where they come, you know, drive up to your house and come give you some fucking courtesy and come pick you up. My department didn't do that shit. They didn't do that.
Well, and the best thing about it is show up in an unmarked. Don't have a marked out in front, because what's the first thing the neighbor's going to say?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a take-home. If you have a take-home car, it's probably not so much. But, you know, if something like that happens, come in an unmarked, be empathetic. You know, don't talk in jargon. Hey, you know, Nick got hurt on the job. We're just here to pick you up. You know, do you need me to call clergy? Do you need me to call some family for you? We're here to support you. You know, even if you're sergeant or lieutenant, why aren't they there doing that? What is so important that they're not here? That's part of your job, is to take care of business and to take care of your people. And that's what we do. This job is relationships. Yeah, I see people recoiling when I'm saying, "What do you mean relationships?" That's what we do. We're people. We're public servants, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes the relationships that we maintain are with one another, and sometimes those are the people that we fuck the most. It's like Dr. David said. You know, he's treated public servants for years now. He says nobody fucks cops like other cops.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day on the phone.
Physically, yes. Yep. And, you know, why are we having that empathy for them? You know, that's why I talked about going down to D.C. and hear it, and when I'm home or when I was still working, you know, these guys are like whining about the overtime, you know, just petty stuff. But when you go down to D.C. and you sit on that wall, you know, on the 15th, before they put the colors back up and before they you know, have taps and they pipe the memorial, there you see loss, where people are toasting their loved ones and their you know, the cohorts there. That's where you see loss. That's where you see brotherhood. And that's why you go to D.C. every year, to pay homage to those folks.
Yeah. When we were the host city for Police Week, Alexandria City is the host city. And so when I was in the Honor Guard, we would drive the families to and from wherever they wanted to go. And I've told this story to you, Mark, which is by the second day, you pull up at the Hilton Hotel, the Mark Center Hilton Hotel. That's where the host hotel is.
Yep.
And you pull up and you pull your cruiser up and family members get in and they get in the back seat. And you don't even get out of the parking lot, and they're telling you how their loved one died. And by the second day, you want to, but you won't. You want to turn around as soon as they get in the car, just put your hand up and go, I don't want to know. And you can't, because you're part of that therapy for them.
Yeah,
That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, that shaped my life. Like, I never drove recklessly, but I certainly pushed the envelope quite a few times. And after my first police week in the Honor Guard, it changed how I drove. It changed a lot of things that I was doing, because you don't really, like, you see the number of officers that are lost, but it's those year one survivors that rock you, especially with kids. It rocks you. And the worst ones are
for the listener,
pregnant.
Define rock you, meaning you do 12 hours, and I would get off after like one day, and I would just sit in my car and not sob, but I was just utterly depressed, because you're hearing all these things. You're seeing these kids that are affected by it. You're seeing pregnant widows that the kid will never meet their dad, or it's just so sad. And some of the ones are just so brutal and so terrible, and then you meet people that have gone every year for like 5 or 6 years. The hurt is still there, but they're paying it forward. They're counseling and being advocates for the first year people. And that's what makes Police Week kind of special is that that extended family, that extended cops family. I can remember one year I'm standing there at when the candlelight vigil was still downtown at the Wall, because they moved it over to the lawn, to the mall, and we were still there. And this first year widow was there getting her husband's pencil etching, right? And her department's there with her, and they couldn't see. Well, I'm fucking Boy Scout. I had a flashlight. So I turned on my little mini Sure light so she could see what she was doing, and we just stood there. And while she did her thing, and she's crying the whole time. Because this is, like you said, Nick, this is their life now, and it's the club no one wants to be in. And how does that affect us that are still here? Is it trauma? Sure, I got a little bit of trauma from going down there, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Being in Honor Guard for 16 years, that it's very important that you go do the best that you can for those folks. And it's just like doing a death notification for your people in your city. You're the key player in their worst day. Don't be a dick.
Yep.
Just like with us. Why the fuck is management calling my loved ones if I'm injured or something happens like that? They don't want a phone call. You show up.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was either you, Mark, or maybe it was Erica that posted the meme that talks about how until you've been to one of those funerals and you've had the family clutching on you because you're on the Honor Guard and you can't talk or move, you don't know how heavy that piece of fabric that covers your badge is until you've been through that.
Exactly.
It's a different weight, different pain.
Yep. Yeah, it's unique. It puts the job definitely in perspective. That's why not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that job. If the academy was easy, everybody would do it. And if the job was easy, everybody would do it. And the fear is that, the ones that are joining now don't really understand that heavy burden. They're TikTok cops. They're in it for the wrong reasons. And, we're not cultivating 25-year officers. We're cultivating 5-year on to the next thing, kind of officers.
I agree with you, Nick, and I disagree with you. And I agree with you in the matter that, and we talked about this on the roll call room, is that the profession needs to change as a whole. This needs to be a 10 to 15-year job.
100%.
Yes.
and out because of the devastation physically that it takes upon your body, mentally it takes upon your mind. That we should be recruiting all walks of life. I have a 35-year-old in my basic academy class. They always wanted to do this job, people.
Yeah.
The city of Dayton has raised their minimum age for the academy to the late 50s or 60s. Yeah, I'm 57. I don't want to be doing the job. I retired for a reason.
Should be 15 and 50. That's I'll say that till the day I'm dead. 15 and 50.
Yeah.
15 years, 50% pension, and you're out.
Yeah.
And that'll at least entice somebody that, has a fucking master's in Russian literature that can't find a fucking job that could stick it out for 15 years and collect a pension for 50% of your pension for the rest of your life.
But honestly, Nick, isn't being a police officer the best fucking job in the world?
It is when everything is clicking and you don't have the bullshit administrators and politicians, political admin.
Yes.
I will say that, because what's happened is that you have a lot of political folks that have infiltrated law enforcement and that have now used to be pro-police and pro-justice. That is not the case. The way to defund the police and the way to ratify or cut the head off at the snake is to infiltrate it as a politician. Art Acevedo is a perfect example of that. The guy is a fucking cancer. He's a fucking cancer.
Yeah,
but
now
he's like syphilis. He gets... Right, but he's like syphilis. He just spreads all over the fucking place, and these liberal fucking municipalities take him in. They suck him off, and he comes in and he fucking destroys morale. He destroys the agencies, and then he's on to the next thing.
See,
and
I want to get my degree and be that chief that poorly made policeman does memes about, like they did with him.
We need a political chief like the former God bless his soul, he's dead now, is the one in Maricopa County, Sheriff Joe.
Oh yeah,
remember him?
Yeah, Sheriff Joe died?
Joe Aprio.
I didn't know he was dead.
Joe Aprio died?
Joe's dead. Man, he's dead. Yeah, Google it. He's dead.
All right.
Trust me.
Not that I don't believe you, but I'm going to trust you.
I don't like the conviction you had. He's dead. Trust me.
Trust me.
I did it.
I took care of it.
I did any news on that. That should have been a big news story.
Yeah, he's dead.
I believe you.
No, I want you to check it, because I want to hear the magic words that I don't get to hear at home. I don't get to hear at home, which is
so big.
Nick, you're so big. And
not seeing an end date here, my man.
There's an end date.
Says he's 91 years old.
91 and dead.
He's not going to make 92.
Nope, that's it. I'm not seeing an end date.
He's dead. He's dead.
His wife
and if he's not dead, email us
at Nick, you're wrong, at rollcallroom.com.
Manscaped.com.
Manscaped.com.
But we need a guy, maybe not so extreme like him, but there are other sheriffs, but you don't see it in police chiefs. Like even we were joking about it before with this golfer.
Yeah,
it was painful to watch that press conference with the female police chief. It was like, if there's anything that's a political appointment, she is a poster child for that. She could not do a genuine statement other than reading it from her fucking iPad. And it's stuff like that makes the community disconnect from law enforcement, because I don't want to get news from the Tin Man or the Tin Woman. I want to hear you speak the truth. I want you to be honest. I want you to be a real person. And it's very crystal clear that statement that she gave was very is vetted through the mayor's office.
The city attorney,
yeah. And the mayor comes on after her and is like, I am so happy about the speed in which you investigated this incident. Yeah. Why do you think she did that with the speed? Because you probably had your foot up her ass and were like, you arrested the number one fucking seed golfer.
Yes.
Like, this is what our community relies on for income, is the Masters. Like, what were you fucking thinking? Like, I'm sure that detective is like really upset about it though.
Memphis 5. Look at the chief there.
Look
at the fucking chief there.
Here we go.
That Mark knows my feeling about her. Like, she got forced out of her agency months before that happened. She signed off on the Scorpion team.
Yep.
Their operations plan had to be signed off by the chief of police. She knew what they were doing.
She put out memorandums of how happy she was with the results they were getting.
Now, grant you, let me back up, because I don't want to get fucking emails. She didn't know that they were going out there and beating the shit out of people, and that they were fucking like what they did to that guy. Let me tell you something. It's a far cry from Freddie Gray, and it's a far fucking cry from Floyd.
Yeah,
that is very cut and dry.
Yeah,
there is no reason.
Yeah,
for that.
but it's because wasn't that a personal vendetta? Wasn't that guy seeing one of the members?
That's the rumor.
Yeah, I don't think that was confirmed.
That was all.
But that was a rumor. The same thing with Floyd,
it fits because they never tried to actually put him into custody. They just beat his ass.
Well, they were pissed off because they sprayed him, and when they sprayed him, they oversprayed, and 3 other of their boys got sprayed, and they took it out on this kid.
It was a total lack of training. They couldn't do a felony stop. If you learn how to do a felony stop, that probably is done with. Right. But they couldn't do a simple felony stop.
They didn't want to handcuff him because once even that didn't matter, because once they handcuffed him, they still beat the shit out of him. And the same thing happened with Floyd. There was rumors that Chavette had a personal vendetta against Floyd because they worked together at a club or something, and which we still need to do an episode on that documentary if I could ever finish it. I just can't get. I'm 30 minutes from finishing it.
It was very injurious to me, put it to you that way. I got very emotional watching those officers.
And that's going to have to be a 2-3 part episode for us.
It is. And I might be the odd man out from the two of you, because Mark and I have talked about it off the air, which is that I don't fully agree with the documentary. I think there are parts of it. It's just like listen. Let's talk about the Trump trial for a second. You could go to 4 different media outlets. You're going to get 4 different reports on the trial. And it's interesting because I do that. Like with the Trump trial, I go to Fox. Fox says he's winning, and the witnesses are a disaster. You go to CNN, which I never go to. If CNN told me that the fucking sky was falling down and I was outside, I would still look up. So like I go to Sky News. I'll go to I don't know. I don't trust many of them. But you'll go to 4 of them. They're all 4 different ones, and the same thing with this documentary. Yeah. You could clearly see that the young lady that did this documentary, which was phenomenally done, is very, very driven towards the justification of what happened.
Right.
And what it doesn't do is,
as far as justification, the reason why George Floyd died, or
no, it's more of like defending the Minneapolis police department and the actions in which they've taken in the past, and vacating that precinct. That was the part. Probably shortly after
that was all political. She said they came in a van, cleared out everything. They didn't really give it up. They prepared to give it up,
right?
Which is stupid. But all they had to do is equally arm those guys. Sorry.
Yeah, but and we're going to do an episode or 2 episodes, like Turk said, on it. But as well as I do, we from a command structure, from an incident command structure, is that you have to tactically look at what you're giving up versus what the manpower is going to take to defend that. And when you're looking at that as a whole, the right thing to do is to abate it, to leave it, with the manpower that they had at the time. And the way that documentary spelled it out is that it was politically motivated to release it and let it go up in flames, and nobody gave a shit about it. And I understand to a certain extent they weren't notified in proper time. You never want to leave something like that with seconds before it, like the last car leaves the parking lot, and then the precinct is taken over and rampaged and then set afire. That's not the right way to do it. If you knew you were going to vacate it, you should have vacated it hours prior to that.
Yeah, why are you doing it in the middle of the night?
Right. The documentary, like there's instances like that where I looked at it and I'm like, you got to look at it from a tactical standpoint. Yeah, it wasn't done the right way, but there's certain reasons as to why they did what they did. There's faults on both sides. As far as Chevette is concerned, I think the trial, we've talked about it. I have my opinions about what he did. It's certainly the optics of it did not look good. The steps that he took while he was on the ground were not good. That didn't look good. But I'll always go back, and Mark, you and I have talked about it. Where were the white shirts?
Where's the stripes?
Where's the stripes?
Where was the management after the whole thing? Everyone.
You and I were sergeants. I heard Chevette screaming on the radio.
I'd have been running down there. I'd have been coached.
I'd have had no treads left on my fucking tire.
Right.
And we've talked about it a million times. I've been at scenes like that where you're like, you, and you go back in service.
Yep.
Sit him up, get him a bottle of water, get medics here now.
Yeah.
You are relieved. Go back to headquarters, wait for me in my office. That's what I would have done with Chevette.
Sure.
That's what I would have fucking done. And at least removed him. If you didn't turn around and admonish him and say, go back to headquarters, say to him, hey, yeah, we got it.
But this is what we just talked about with the golfer. He just got kicked and brought back
fucking
to patrol from being in investigations. Yeah. And he was the most senior guy there. Everyone else had been there less than a year. So,
But the one great thing about that documentary is it did a very good job painting a picture with a 360 view of all the body cams.
Yes.
Instead of this cut and paste bullshit that we got from the media, it was very interesting to see the 360 view.
Right.
I really wanted to put my hand through the TV with the fire woman that was on scene.
C word. See you next Tuesday. With that one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if I'd have been the sergeant on scene, I'd have tuned her up pretty good. She probably would have been in custody. She was a disaster at the trial.
Absolutely. I was pretty upset. On a side note, I watched First 48. I'm a loyal fan of the First 48. I was very upset to see one of my favorite detectives on there that was now a lieutenant testifying against Derek for use of force. Did you guys know about that?
I did not.
Star of First 48. He was a detective sergeant. Did a lot of great work with detective cases. They called him as a subject matter expert for use of force, and he testified against them. Was really
on the
bad.
job, or was he retired?
No, he was a lieutenant at the time that the Chevette thing happened, or Floyd thing happened. Right. So we definitely have to do that because we're going to go off the rails.
Yep. We're getting.
And originally we were talking about penis size and lubricant.
That'll get brought up again for those episodes. I do have the red light going on in the background. I'm getting notifications here, so we've popped up with our next topic. Obviously, we're going to get that going at some point. But
all right,
before we do sign off, I do want to say, Nick, you'd mentioned it. I was listening to some of the OG episodes of Roll Call and then Shield Within, and I can't believe how far the three of us have come, personality-wise, emotionally-wise. I'm proud of you both. I'm proud to say that I know you both. So thank you very much for being a part of my life and being a part of this show.
And tell us about your visitor last week there, Turk, before we get off the air.
Oh, yeah. So I had a community event, and I talked about it on social media, how it's a small world. One of your co-hosts, the Captain Fabulous, he's got family who's going to school in my state.
Holy shit!
25 minutes from where I work. And so
that's awesome.
We've tried to hook up a couple different times, and this finally worked out where I was working a community event, and he stopped on out and shot the shit for a little bit. I sent some stuff over to Mark there.
Got some merch. Nice. I'm a junior officer now. Yeah, see the background.
Turk, we are hoping one day, and this is a little peek behind the curtains, we're hoping one day that Mark and I will actually meet in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we've never, folks that are listening, we've never, ever met in person yet, which is super
Hopefully
fucking weird.
all of us can.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be sweet. But I'm
think
not
maybe-
going to Idaho.
Iowa.
Iowa? Is that
You
what
are
it
a
is?
hoe, but
Iowa?
it's Iowa.
Oh, that's even worse than Idaho. That's fucking
I
even
think-
worse.
Maybe Police Week 2025.
Yes, that would be great.
If I'm still living here, yes. You know, there
You're
might
not
be
going to
relocation
Siberia?
in my future.
Okay.
Might be relocation.
Taiwan?
But Taiwan. Bangkok. Bink. Not to get mushy, but you know, I've known you for quite a while now, and I'm super proud of your book. I was
Yes.
really, really happy to see you put out a book, and not only a book, but a good book.
Very good.
So, you know, I'm proud of you. That's a huge step. It's a good, fulfilling feeling to put your name into Amazon and see something pop up other than a blow up doll. You know, the hope and prayer is by Police Week of next year, the guy in the middle has his book done, and you know, we can all say, hey, you know what? We're all authors.
We're all authors.
which-
Well, I do write a
yeah.
column every week. Does that count?
That makes you a journalist.
Makes you a journalist. You're not hanging out with me and Turk and Stephen King.
That's right. So maybe next year, maybe we can get a booth at Tent City and
Yes.
yeah.
hawk our
Yeah, that would be
merch.
awesome. That would be
Our merch
awesome.
for the week.
But we're gonna have to do another one of these. But it's been an absolute pleasure, bud.
Absolutely.
Yes. My pleasure.
Can't thank you guys enough for coming on. I can't thank all of you listeners and viewers for tuning in. According to Spotify, there's about 4 of you left, but we know that's all.
And you listen to all 3 of our shows, so thank you very much. Shoot me an email, and I'll send you some
I can't
merch.
thank y'all enough. Please reach out to The Shield Within, The Roll Call Room, or spinningourgears.com, and stay safe. We'll get to this together.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do. As you embrace the risk you must go through. May you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home. The Shield Within.